versus Benin warlords, who had broken the kingdom into different independent segments. Elwahe's son, Oba Ozolua, on coming to the throne after the short reign of Oba Izodi and Oba Olua, his two elder brothers, he found out that he had to reconquer the Benin kingdom over which he had been declared the monarch, including large segments of Benin city itself, or warlords, some of whom had been his father's soldiers. Oba Elwahe I had carved out territories for themselves, and refused to transfer the loyalty they had owed Oba Elwahe to his sons. Examples of such warlords in Benin city itself were at Ilikiti of the Obalaka quarters, sharing the same perimeter wall with the royal palace itself. B. Atabatibo of Ogbe quarters, in the same segment of town as the royal palace. C. Okuan 1VO of Ngwizi quarters, occupying the present-day Upper Lagos Street area of town. Many of the villages in the outskirts of Benin City had also seized the opportunity of the breakdown of the central authority to declare their independence of Benin City. This was the chaotic state of affairs in the kingdom, which the Edos call Hurumurue, meaning the absence of an effective central authority in the land when Ozolua became the king. The central authority in Benin had broken down because when Oba Olua died, the throne had remained vacant for a considerable length of time. Oba Olua's crown prince, Prince Nginua, and 70 sons of Benin chiefs had been packed off by his father to the riverine territories, probably in hopes that he would become a king in the Portuguese offshore islands of São Tomé and Príncipe. But he ultimately became the Olu of the riverine tribe of the Ichikiris. Watch the video as Mr. Nzadua explains.
The Oluwari ancestral home is Benin. No Benin man or any Benin woman has any right, under what guise or whatsoever, to say that the Oluwari does not have a right to his own house. That's the first point I want to establish. He's one of us. He's not just one of us. He's of the royal blood of Benin Kingdom, of our history. This is not Ishekiri history. This is Benin history. Because the sons of these 70 chiefs are Benin people, so it's Benin history. Now, they said the first sons of the 70 chiefs of Benin. That is completely against the history that has been narrated over the years. There is a difference between Iviopiana and Oviopiana Nodion. Alright, the heirs of these lineages, the heirs of these 70 chiefs, heirs, first sons is different from sons of the 70 chiefs. The history that is true is that these were 70 sons of the 70 chiefs of Benin, not first sons. Not first sons. They were not heir. They were not first sons.
Meanwhile, Prince Opaman, who later became Oba Ozolua, was a fugitive offender, in exile in the Ora lands of northern Edo. He had fled Benin City even before his elder brother, Olua, was crowned the Oba of the kingdom. He had escaped into exile when it became generally known that he had murdered Prince Owehe, his nephew, and the son of the recently deceased Oba Izodi. He had murdered Owehe to make sure that the young man was not put on the Benin throne by the elders, in succession to his father Izodi. So when Oba Olua died, and there was nobody to occupy the throne, things fell apart in Benin, and a state of uncertainty descended upon the kingdom. As things went from bad to worse, the city elders decided to let bygones be bygones, and invited Prince Okpaman back to Benin City to take over the throne of his father Oba El-Wahe. To get Okpaman back from exile, the city elders had to indulge in a bit of cajoling by reminding the prince of his antecedents as a true son of the royal house, a heritage that he was obliged to be faithful to always. According to Benin Ora history, the Benin elders employed the analogy of the instinctive sensibilities of the house rat and the bush rat to drive their point home. The two rats were put together in a box, which the Benins call Elkpoti, and the box sent to Prince Okpaman in Ora land in Edo North as a gift from the city elders. When the prince opened the box, the house rat promptly made its way up the rafters to the roof of the house. The bush rat, on the other hand, darted out of the door and straight into the bush. Ozolua understood the action of the rats, and returned home to Benin. Happily, Ozolua was well cut out for the job which his birth, and the prevailing circumstances, had now thrust upon him. He was a natural warrior, who delighted in the sound of battle. And during his many years of exile and wanderings in the savanna lands of the northern Edo territories, he had acquired a chained mail battle dress, made of iron rings and leather strappings, usually worn by the warlords of the Middle Ages in both Europe and Arabia. The battle dress must have come down the Saharan trade routes to the great market in Kano, from where it was brought south by traders through Nupe land. This armored dress acquisition by Ozolua made him virtually undefeatable in battles in the forest areas of the Benin country, where horses and lances were not used in warfare. Folklore clearly remembers this battle dress armor of Ozolua's, for people still say today of somebody who was taking too much time in dressing up for an event, they will say, "He is taking such a long time dressing up for this event," like Ozolua dressing up for battle. An interesting bit of dialogue, clearly remembered by folklore, hauntingly illustrates the nature of the state of affairs in the kingdom when Ozolua arrived from Ora land and was crowned the Oba of Benin. The new Oba sent the customary gift of white chalk to each of the local warlords in Benin Kingdom. The gift was to announce to the local warlords that a new Oba had been crowned in Benin City. Acceptance of the chalk by the ruler denoted that he had automatically transferred his loyalty, which he had owed the old reign, to the new sovereign on the throne. Rejection of the chalk meant the non-acceptance of the authority of the new sovereign, and this was usually swiftly followed by the conquest of the recalcitrant ruler. Ozolua sent the white chalk of good tidings, signaling the commencement of his reign, to El Lekiti at the Ogbalaka quarters in Benin City, adjacent to the present-day High Court complex of the city.
First, I was saying Egba is a community. That's where the problem was. Egba is a community. Iwu is also a community. How can community be in another? It didn't make sense. But eventually I discovered that he was referring to a warlord. I have read about the warlord some time ago in one of the ESS books. His name is Egba. The name of that warlord was Egba. Now, the other part was Noriwu. Noriwu. So I was not saying that nicknamed, because in Benin, Wawe Noriwu, that is nickname, alias, that is also known as, but I was wrong, because when I listened further and I discovered that he was saying what he meant was that Iwu was a community that Egba hailed from. So it was Egba Noriwu. Egban whose hometown is Iwu. Alright? Egban whose hometown is Iwu. So the story was about Ozolua, the Oba of Benin, and another powerful warlord who hailed from a community called Iwu along the Benin-Lagos road. You understand? So, now the story went further to say that Egban had a sword, and Umozu, a war sword. You are not supposed to have that kind of a war sword, except the Oba guarantees you. So now, a lot of news fell to the ears of Ozolua that someone was going to raise a kind of an army against the throne or against the kingdom or the empire as it was then. So he sent first badge. He sent first badge to go and meet him, to ask him, so he told those badges, those emissaries, excuse me, he told those emissaries that up yanin for mozoni na me obien iya ya gbugbo na do yare rai bona bari ave. You know, the cutlass that a filler was heard that could create a recalcitrant force or an opposing force to the Oba of Benin, he was going to use that sword to sort of farm for the Edo people. Alright? During that conversation, his wife came out and told the emissaries of Oba Ozolua that, that the husband is lying, that the husband is having a mind to go to war with Oba Ozolua. You know, now no, don't worry, I will play the song again. So the story was that Anna game I inquire Ozolua Egban that Umozo who are the way from Babedo Umozoni iya Gumbo Nedo Yari Variana Variave. In course of that, Nana Honko noro eko o Ozolua ko okpan eva hin when Ozolua we mwegboku ahema ya hin ani oni ebe do Ozolua. So on hand na ifa when the cause of not realizing that his wife, a man's wife, has unveiled the true intent of his plan against Oba Ozolua. He killed 3 of the emissaries and allowed one to flee, to actually go and tell Ozolua that he said that after Egban had allowed one of the emissaries of Oba Ozolua to give him the message, Ozolua understood that Ozolua Nasiai, he didn't talk about it. It was shocking, it was surprising. The Ozolua that we know will instantly declare war on you. But he decided to leave Egban Noriwu. He left him for 3 years. Honor, man, when I heard that part, I remember I posted something, Ozolua Noga. It's that part that thrilled me. You know, someone has declared war against Ozolua, who was famous to react to even the slightest offense. Decided not to speak on the matter for 3 good years. So Doiri, he didn't speak.
He didn't tell a man that he picked offense. A man was prepared, a man was ready. But he waited 6 months. Ozolua didn't go. 1 year, Ozolua didn't go. A year and 6 months, Ozolua didn't go. 2 years, Ozolua didn't go. If not Tamia, he now eventually forgot about it. But you understand one thing about Ozolua. He was a very unforgiving. He was a very unforgiving king. He doesn't know how to forgive. He doesn't know how to forgive. So he didn't forgive. And eventually he took war, and Benin was eventually defeated, and everyone